Welcome to the Outstanding Webinar Series, recorded live sessions with guests from around the globe. In each episode, we'll be exploring the outstanding world of outdoor hospitality. Subscribe at outstandingtent.com/webinar. First of all, welcome to our second webinar, beginning of our webinar series on outdoor hospitality and focusing on glamping. My name is Jason Higbee with Outstanding, handle North America, focus on the US, also Canada and Mexico. We started this little webinar series after a bunch of us sat down and tried to think about how we can help people in the middle of this pandemic when people can't get out and experience and talk to a lot of people that they did before, especially when making business decisions and exploring opportunities. So we hope that this webinar series helps to uncover opportunities, talk about some fun things that we're passionate about, and hopefully you'll share some of those passions. I'd like to introduce our guest this month, or for this session, Robin van Kooten. Robin is the co-founder and also co-owner of Outstanding Tent, based in the Netherlands. And Robin, if you'd like to take a moment just to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into a little bit more about the glamping world. I mentioned previously, anybody that has questions, please open up the chat box, add any of those questions, and we'll address those at the end in our Q&A. So Robin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for this introduction. So I'm Robin van Kooten. Actually, I joined Outstanding in the form as it is now in 2014. Our company was founded in 2009 by my colleague Eric van Donselaar. By this time, he started with importing safari tents from Pakistan. Was a great experience to get used to the products and get some experience with selling those products. But in the end, they found out that the quality of those tents was really, really poor. Some of them even had mold in them before they were unloaded from the container. But these tents were selling very well within mainly Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. From there, they decided actually that he wanted to develop a few other companies since he had a few, and he wanted to really combine his name to quality products. But the website they had was by that time was safaritent.com. Was generating a lot of inquiries. So after a period of not selling any products due to the fact that the quality was too poor, they decided to quit actually quit selling for a while. Then in 2014, I met Eric, and he was telling me about the company, which is generating a lot of inquiries. Glamping was booming, and there was really something about happening in Europe. And actually he really triggered me, like this is something we should develop together, found a new company and develop our own products and make sure that we are really outstanding, create something which is of an outstanding quality. So 2014 we started Outstanding. Developed a complete new line of tents. Production was outsourced, but completely in our own hand. We're developing our own new products, and not something which we share. It's our own product and our own. We own the copyright of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So from that moment, it really exploded, actually.
So what got you excited about glamping at this point? So this is, tell us a little bit about why you focused on this, and also what happened between 2009 and 2014, and what sort of work had to go into the day when Eric decided or tried to shut down the business, and the day that the customers kept knocking on the door and you had to reopen.
Well, so he had like I don't know 60 units from Pakistan, which were selling, yeah, really really rapidly, and from that moment he decided to quit buying them, but he had inquiries for a few hundred, and yeah, when you're a businessman, this is really itching, then this is creating, yeah, this is creating something you really want to develop, but yeah, if you want to do things good and you want to stand behind a certain quality, and you want to uh, um, as a person stand for something good, um, yeah, you should not develop, or you should not supply or build a company which is not having a good quality product. So yeah, in this meantime, not much was happening, and then yeah, we started to work together from 2014, and yeah, that was when it really started in the current form.
And how did you go from, so you went from a glamping tent that was manufactured by another company and probably was, I think it was based on an old army tent or something like that. How did that
Yeah.
evolution happen from that to the first outstanding tent? And then how has that continued to evolve since then?
So yeah, you saw campsites had a more and more demand, because within Europe we really have a camping culture. People were going since the 60s, 70s with their parents to campsites with their own little tent. Um, of course, this was really basic. There was you had to share your toilet, and within toilet box share your shower. It was a lot of work to put up those tents, to break them down, and what you see is that in the last 15 years, you saw a lot of younger people wanted to go to the campsite with their children again, but they wanted to have something more luxurious, and they just want someone to take care of them. And when they go on holiday, a lot of them have both parents are working, and they just want to yeah, they want to enjoy the holiday, and they don't want to be bothered with breaking up their tents, moving goods around. So yeah, that's a big chance for glamping. There's just the um, demand for having um, they want people to take care of their accommodation, and they just don't want to take care of it of it themselves.
So
And
this is,
another
sorry, go
uh,
ahead.
yeah, another change you saw is that within Europe you have a lot of people who own a caravan, so the one you tow behind your car. Um, but what you see over the last few years also is that people are not willing to buy such a thing anymore. The use is becoming more important than owning such a thing, because when you own such a thing, it's yeah, really forcing you to use it every year. Otherwise, yeah, it's just a waste of money. So yeah, the renting an accommodation is really exploded.
And why do you think that? How do you think people realized that they did not want necessarily RVs and that glamping was a better choice for them? Because in the U.S. right now, RVs are extremely popular. It's really actually difficult to buy anything right now. If you want something, you're not going to find it. You're going to have to order it, and it could be many months out.
Yeah. So what is your
So
question on this one?
how do people actually decide that, oh, I'm not going to buy an RV, I'm going to stay at a glamping site? Or it seems like you have to have both sides meet. Both the accommodations have to be provided, but you also have to have the customers that are choosing to go glamping. Where do those meet, and how did that happen in Europe, or about when?
Yeah, this is happening for like 10, 15 years already, and it's becoming just it's changing every year into something which is more comfortable in use. Of course, as a supplier, we are working towards this to, for example, arrange more facilities within our accommodation. So it started, for example, in 2014, most tents we sold were not including sanitation. But what you see is that from that moment, a big change was happening. And currently, for all of our accommodations we supply, I think 80% goes with sanitation. And with COVID, that's becoming even more.
Okay, interesting. It's funny to draw a parallel between that and RVs and boats. A lot of times, the first RV or boat that someone buys is what they think is sensible. They or what they can afford. They buy that, and then they always think they need something bigger. So the second one that they buy is always way too big and is too complicated. It's the third one they buy that actually is the right fit. So with glamping tents, it sounds like you've had that evolution of you started with a simple army tent, you went to something that was fairly robust. Now you've added bathrooms. I've seen tents that have up to 3 bathrooms in one tent. Where does that kind of level out? Has that already happened, or what's the stable state of the glamping industry, do you think?
Stable state, good question. I think this whole evolution of a tent and its facilities is not finished yet. You see that for everything which meets the demand of more comfort is going to be added. If people want, for example, a bigger kitchen with a dishwasher or anything, which is really making sure they have a great holiday, and we are able to add this to our accommodations on a normal way, and our customers are, the feedback we get on these possible developments from our customers is positive. We will add. So this is not finished for the next few years, and we are quite sure that this glamping phenomenon is not something which is a trend, but it's just as our slogan, the new way of camping. But aside from this, it's also due to COVID that people are locked up in their houses for many months already, and the need and the feeling that they want to be in contact with nature is something we hear more and more. Sleeping on a canvas is really a great experience. When you lie in your bed, you're waking up, you hear the birds, outside, you hear the nature, you hear the wind, whatever, the rain ticking on your roof. So it's really a great experience, and a lot of people who do it for the first time, they're just they fall in love with it because it's amazing. And I think also due to COVID, this is really moving people towards our products even more.
Mm-hmm. What was your first time glamping, actually experiencing what you just described?
My first time was like 6 years ago.
Wow.
Glamping. Yeah, so I was camping before, staying in a little basic tent, but glamping is like 6 years ago. And of course, since that time, every year, a few times. Also with our team, everybody has to experience it, from the warehouse to the people who are working on marketing or anything. If you really want to understand what we're doing as a company, everybody should at least once a year stay in a tent.
So was your first experience glamping actually trying out your own product?
Sure.
It was. Okay.
Yeah, first tents we built, I was staying in.
Okay. Wow. So, and did that become addicting to you, or do you make a habit of experiencing glamping now, or can somebody get tired of glamping, or is that like saying someone will get tired of staying in hotels?
Yeah, that's it. If you want to go on holiday, everybody there, people want to go on holiday. If it's abroad or within your own country, also in the current situation, staycations are hot, but people will go on holiday. And if that is like you're staying in your house or within your concrete building for the entire year. So if this 1 or 2 weeks a year you're really in direct contact with nature, this is helping people to relax and really feel somewhere else. So I think that's people are not getting bored or getting used to it too much.
Okay. I'd be interested in, I think we're going to try out a little survey here. We haven't done surveys before as a part of the webinar series, but we're going to try a survey and would love to ask what services and facilities do glamping customers expect? So we're going to send this out to everybody and give everyone a minute or two to respond to that. But while we send that out, Robin, I'd be really curious, what is the most popular tent, or what tent do you sell the most of, and how was the design of that tent driven by the market?
We started with the traditional safari tent a few years ago, which we of course we developed and changed in technical way, but in optical way it's stayed quite the same. 2 years ago we developed our cottage model, which is like the one you see behind me. And that model really is becoming our most popular model due to the different shapes. It's not really like a traditional tent. It's really something different, and we get a lot of people are really positive about this one. Besides this, we have a few other models which we developed lately, but this one also have a very efficient footprint, and that's something to take in mind as well. So on one hand, you want to have something which is looking good, but on the other hand, an efficient footprint is also quite important. So it's a combination of that. To add to that, is that the most accommodations we sell are approximately 35 square meters internal. Not sure how much that is in foot, but you're probably more aware of that.
Here, I will look that up so we get it correct. So what, how did the feedback from customers drive that? And by the way, that's about 380 square feet. How did that, is it because it's the smallest size that fits a family of 4 comfortably, or is it number of rooms, or that they have to have a kitchen, have to have a bathroom? What's that balance of accommodations that fits within that 35 square meters or 380 square feet?
Yeah, we are used to work within these small footprints. So our standard layouts are just very efficient. Every space, every path we have is double use. And within this 35 square meters, we normally have 6 beds, a dining table, a sitting area, a kitchen with a big fridge, and 3 divided places, or 3 divided rooms actually. So I can really say that everything is being used. We don't use it much. We don't lose much space in our tents.
So 6 beds, are those typically all utilized? Is the average customer or average guest going to bring friends or family, or why 6 beds?
Well, when you have 2 children, it can be great to have them on a different room. Otherwise, they are just not sleeping enough, and the parents will be they have to look around for their kids too much. So we can easily, with bunk beds, for example, we can easily make tents available for 6 people. It's not such an investment. For a few €100. We add 2 beds within a tent to create an extra double or an extra bunk, and so this is not much of an investment, and also it gives you the option to rent it out for 6 people, which is giving you flexibility.
Okay, that's interesting. I would say that when I stay at a hotel and I get upgraded, they give me a suite that has an extra bedroom and it's just me. I have no use for that extra bedroom. I walk in at one time, but I feel so special, and that the accommodations feel so much better. Is that sort of what that's offering, and why that's become popular is because both kids can be in one room at the same time. They can be in separate rooms, and you just have a little bit more space than you need.
Yeah, and it's giving you the feeling that you have space enough. You get it gives you the feeling that you have a luxurious accommodation, because it's not, everything is not piled up with each other.
Okay. Do you think that that when customers stay at a glamping site, is there a premium that they pay for that extra space, or they're willing to pay, or do they think about bringing friends and family the next visit? What's the how does that hit the bottom line of having that extra space?
Well, I'm not sure how that is in the US, but what you see in Europe is that you have more and more combined families. So when parents are divorced, both of them have children. So yeah, that's something we really see happening in Europe, that families go on holiday with more people due to this. And aside from that, you have the possibility to maybe invite your grandparents or family, which can come over. So yeah, it's giving you some flexibility for sure.
And then I'd love to kind of transition into talking about glamping all around the world. So you started, you mentioned, of course, you're based in the Netherlands. Early glamping was, do you say Belgium, Germany? How did that
Yeah, UK.
in the UK? Okay. How did that spread around the world, and how many different places have you been, or do you have products in?
Um, Camping in Europe is something very known. Glamping became known, and it's spread it out all over Europe currently. So Spain is doing very well with glamping on their campsites. Quality of the campsites in Southern Europe is really improving over the last few years. They really want to attract a different public. And what you see is that previously there were just people which were not in the higher classes who were going to campsites. And what you now see is
Regular
that,
people.
yeah, sure. And what you now see is that with a higher level of comfort on their accommodations and on their campsites, they also attract a whole new public. And people are who can afford who can afford more to spend their stay on this campsite. And therefore it's also giving them the opportunity to earn more money of their ground.
I see. Okay. And then throughout Europe, as that sort of spread, I mean, how many different countries are you in at this time, or what do the fringes look like? Where's the growth happening now?
We have, I think it's in 52 countries nowadays. We have our tents up, and that's all around the world, from Australia to, of course, the US and all over Europe. Some in Asia, and so that's quite spread out. The growth for our company came from the last few years. It came from Southern Europe, which was developing really quick. So Croatia, Spain, France. UK, of course. And what you now see is that really Scandinavia is really catching up. So Norway, Denmark, Sweden, they have quite a lot of camping, but they're getting more familiar with glamping these days. And of course the US, which is really in an early stage of camping, traditional camping. There's sorry.
So Scandinavia, I mean, a lot of that's very cold. You get pretty cold the further north you go. How is glamping working in the colder climates, and how is that taking off in the face of the seasonality of some of these colder spaces?
We have the option on a few models to offer an extra double the number of trusses of the accommodation. Therefore, the snow load is also being more than double. This helps to have these units around the winter on your site. For the rest, we are able to offer winter glamping due to log burner or all sorts of pellet burning stoves. And actually, the products, when it's really getting cold in those areas, they're mainly not used in winter. So also in Scandinavia, there are very good summers, and people can really make a good money out of them when they use it for the summer season. So approximately 12 weeks a year, 14 weeks a year. And of course, when you have in your country, you have the option to rent out all year. This is going to be makes your product even extra profitable. But most companies in Europe make a good profit out of them within this summer season already.
Okay, just in that 12-week period is what pays the bills.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, actually, that's most companies. Also good to, I think it's good to mention. Most of our customers really getting a return on investment within 2 seasons. And when you take in mind that the products last for at least 10 seasons, you don't have to be very smart to calculate that as a good profitable product.
Okay, so the owners and operators that let's say in the northern parts of Norway that have a really heavy seasonality to them, what do they do in the off season? Is that their vacation and family time, or do they have other businesses? What's the typical customer profile for colder climates or more seasonal climates?
Mainly campgrounds, which are opened for around the summer season. So they open up probably in April, beginning of March, and they close somewhere in October. And within this time frame, they are taking care of their campsite with all facilities around it.
Okay, so that's their off season is the maintenance time.
Yep.
And okay.
Yep.
And how many of those evolved? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, quite a change we also see is that more and more amusement parks, theme parks, bigger companies, also in Scandinavia, are really looking towards the option to offer accommodations, since normally it's just something they just offer day trips, and now there's just a lot to earn. And a lot to get from the people when they sell packages for weekends or a few nights, including tickets.
Okay, the Disney model. No, nobody can go to Disney for one day. You need 3 days to see the park, so you might as well have a hotel on site.
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of been talking about we talked about Europe a little bit. So the United States, you spent some time in the U.S. I'd love to hear your familiarity with the U.S. market and what your perceptions are. Tell us a little bit about your experience in the U.S.
What's about to happen in the U.S. is so great to see. The development we have experienced within Europe, coming from easy basic camping, is quite similar to what is happening in the US currently. The campsites currently own very basic accommodations, if they already are renting out accommodations and not only pitches to park your RV or having some kind of bungalow. So there's a great demand. There's the campsites which currently have accommodations like our tents are renting them out for crazy amount of money, like $250 to $500 a night, and they're just pretty much fully booked. So that's great with our products. There's such a huge demand currently, and I think that's a unique situation. There's a market which is open. There's not much competitors. There's not much going on yet. The demand is growing and growing, and it's an amazing time to start with your glamp site currently.
And you lived in the U.S. for a brief period, is that right?
Yep, for a
And
year.
what do you think of the U.S.? Let's give the candid view of the United States, and I mean, it seems that we are a couple years, arguably 3 5 years behind Europe in terms of this evolution of glamping and the glamping industry, which it sounds like that word may have first been a UK phenomenon. I'm not sure where exactly it started, but do you want to talk about
Mm,
your perception of glamping and where the US is at right now as compared to the rest of the world, and how long it will take for that market to evolve to where a lot of Europe is right now?
Well, first of all, you guys in the US have great nature, which is just amazing. So, glamping is something which fits the best in a natural environment, and you guys have plenty of space for that. So, yeah, space enough. A lot of great nature, a lot of great national parks. Yeah, there's just an amazing potential. Aside from that, there's just, as I told previously, there's not much like there's not some existing market for glamping. There's as we have seen in Europe, it's happening now. The market is about to open up. There are big companies currently getting interest in these kind of accommodations, and yeah, within a few years, my expectation is that some of them will be in this market and will take a big share. And then it's always a matter of being one of the first companies in order to be recognized as the glamping providers. And when there are bigger companies doing their marketing on this kind of product, they will be the ones who get recognized as early adapters, and the ones who you need to go to have a great holiday with these accommodations. So I think for a country like the US, it's an amazing chance to step in this niche market.
And it sounds like Spain also evolved, was sort of a laggard on that evolution. And all of a sudden, as soon as the glamping product was seen a couple times in Spain, all of a sudden the market just exploded. How long did it take for that market to explode? And is that's the sort of, I guess, evolution that you would expect to see in the US?
Yeah, it's always a matter of a few companies which take the step.
Mm-hmm.
They decide to be an early adapter, and the people responsible for this company decide that they want to be ahead of anyone, and the rest will follow sometime. We see that also. It's a funny example. We have an island here on the coast of the Netherlands, and it has like I think 25 campsites, and it's also like it's always like a snowball. So the first one has it, the second one see it, the third one see it, and then the second one buys it, and then the rest is going. I think from all those campsites, 80% has our tents already. People need like an example, someone which shows that this is working, and this is for us as a company, we're a reliable partner, and from that moment, yeah, it just goes.
So one of the great things about the model of glamping is that you're not building an entire hotel. It's not 100 rooms or 500 rooms in one shot, and each one you have to build a new building. You can phase these out quite a bit. So in the example that you gave with this island with a very constrained market, as everybody added glamping tents, what happened to the rates in that space, and how do things levelize where you reach saturation? Because the real question is, as this happens in the U.S., which I think a lot of people expect glamping to grow considerably here, where will the growth stop? And the reason I ask that is because if you look at the numbers in outdoor hospitality in the United States, the numbers are just fantastically large. A lot of people don't know where the ceiling is going to be for glamping. Have you seen a ceiling in any of these markets,
I
like
think
the island you mentioned?
yeah, before you reach the ceiling, you should build a good underground. And I think the ceiling is not anywhere where we can see it currently. There's the leisure market is such an amazing big market with so many million and billion of dollars turnover, incredibly much people who are traveling around the US from coast to coast, also from Europe, from Asia, from everywhere. Um, there is no end to be seen within the coming 10 years. So from my perspective, this is the beginning, and we shouldn't talk about ceilings or anything yet. This is about to happen, and when companies like us, and I hope a lot of other companies in this market make fantastic products and do fantastic developments, we all create another new demand. And as long as more and more people getting known with glamping in this form, this is helping all of us. So I truly hope that more and more companies go into glamping, make sure that this concept is getting known, because it's helping all of us. And this is not anywhere where it stops yet.
So do you think this is part of a greater evolution of what people define leisure as and what holiday stays actually are and what people want?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we haven't talked about the pandemic yet. So we're in the middle of a global pandemic that's gone on for arguably a year already. The end could be tomorrow, probably unlikely. It could be in the near future. It could be in the scary, not too near future also. What, I mean, can you talk about the resiliency of this market? We saw at the beginning of the pandemic, we saw airlines just get pummeled by this market. We saw hotels get pummeled by this market. We saw people out there buying RVs, buying stuff to get outdoors like crazy. In the US, if you're still trying to buy certain types of trailers or RVs, or go try to buy a bike or a kayak, you still can't buy them. It's just amazing, the wait times. So what parts of this kind of leisure, ongoing leisure and hospitality market are going to be the resilient parts? We've seen hotels come back a little bit. Resorts are still having a hard time. So glamping, it seems, can fill that void and people can still experience these things, safely go to them. Is that going to stay after the pandemic, or how's the pandemic changing the market forces, and how will it change once this ends from your perspective?
Well, good question though. Our customers mainly did very well during this pandemic. So there are a few countries which had a drop in demand and bookings, and those were the ones who were not focusing on their local market. So take for example Croatia. The Croatians are at the Adriatic Sea, and they attract a lot of campers from Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, Belgium, and those were just not able to travel. So this market has had quite a challenge, and yeah, they lost more than 50% of their turnover on camping. But the ones who were able to attract their locals, like the Netherlands, like UK, like Scandinavia, all kinds of markets did fantastic. And I think more and more people are, due to staycations, nothing was available. They did something new. They experienced something they didn't do before. For example, glamping, and that's helping. As I said previously, and more people need to get known with the phenomenon, with the concept, and with yeah, what it really consists of, and the experience is something they when they first really experience it, they will love it. And also I think the number of people which coming back to this kind of accommodations, it's amazing.
After trying it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
So if anything, this is accelerating the evolution dramatically.
Yeah.
Interesting.
COVID is not too bad for glamping.
Okay. Can you talk about so doing business in this pandemic has crushed a lot of companies. A lot of companies have done extremely well. A lot of the companies that have done well are in software distribution or other things. You're still manufacturing a physical product, which is a market that has really not, globally has had some real challenges. How have you been able to adapt and work within this market to stay busy and stay successful?
In terms of supplies from our suppliers, you mean?
In operating with your serving your clients in the middle of a pandemic, so your customers can't, they may not be able to come and see your showroom. They may not be able to go and see a site that has
Right.
tents. How do you conduct business in that environment?
Yeah, that was something we were not really used to making sure our customers are well informed and able to do a certain purchase, which is quite a lot of money normally. So normally we speak a lot of people at exhibitions. We see a lot of people in our showrooms, which was not possible by this time. Luckily, we have a 3D showroom tour, so you can see our showroom. You can walk through our showroom in a digital way. This helped a lot of people which were not able to travel to our showroom. And besides this, we have, of course, our brochures. We have our tent brochure and we have our furniture catalog. And aside from that, we have our offers, which are really specified in detail. So together with these two brochures, you can really see what you get offered. It's not like a complete package, a tent plus furniture makes this price. It's really specified in detail. And just make sure that you can, together with this, with this list, you see what you really get. We did Zoom meetings. We had people which we really walked through our showroom on a personal way, but then in this time it's digital. It's still possible if people are interested and they want to see details of a tent or several tents. They can get in touch and we just show them around. Through Zoom, Skype, or any kind of digital possibility to meet. So this 3D tour helped a lot for a lot of people to see what we can offer in these times.
And as far as I've also seen a number of kind of as hotel and resort companies figure out how to attract guests and convince them that yes, it is safe to stay at their resorts and how these things work. I've seen a number of virtual tools available through those. Is that something that glamping customers have also embraced, or how does the end client find and explore a glamping site? And if you take a market like the United States, where glamping is not a huge thing, but camping is all over, how do those owners and operators of those sites introduce the concept of glamping to their clients in the middle of a pandemic?
They do that through their websites, of course, and it's just very important to have good pictures of what you're offering. Get professional people to take care of this, and aside from that, you're not just booking an accommodation. You're booking a location or campsite on a location with an accommodation. So it's more than that. Besides this, it's more and more important to really sell an experience. So campsites or glamp sites are not just buying a tent, putting it up a piece of land and renting it out. It's this complete picture which it all has to fit together. So how do you get those people in those accommodations? It's just a matter of having their website well organized. Make sure that everything like facilities around your place are shown in a good way, and it just has to look professional.
And then word of mouth, so much normally travels by word of mouth, and the best customer is always one. It was through a reference. How are people sharing references right now, or referring to other people? Is everything social media, or how does word spread right now when it's not necessarily in person?
Yeah, there are many ways to get your references. For example, at the website of your camping glamping, people should be have the possibility to leave their reference. For the rest, of course, you have Google, and I don't know for the US if there are any tools. I know for Europe there are several tools like Zoover, but I don't know if there is any well-known or best-known tool for references in leisure in the US.
Yeah, we've got quite a few, and I think a lot of them are just starting to wake up to the potential of the glamping business or industry. If we look at kind of the cycle of acquisitions, self-storage is an interesting parallel because at the beginning of self-storage, there were a couple of companies that started storage. Americans have lots of stuff, so we always have too much stuff in our homes, so we put it in storage and then pay a couple $100s a month for a really long time, always exceeding the value of what we have in storage. And it's kind of a normal thing. It's amazing how many of us Americans have these. But that industry grew as a stable industry that was well proven. And then all of a sudden, this big acquisition. I mean, a lot of them are kind of mom and pop, individually run and operated, individually developed. As soon as these acquisitions started, big companies came in and realized this is a fantastic business. They came in and started buying up a lot of these smaller businesses. But the interesting thing is that there's still enough room for there to be the small businesses and the startups in between all of these, despite all of these incredible acquisitions. So I'd be curious to know what your thought is about as this rapid evolution happens within glamping markets. Of course, a corner of the outdoor hospitality market. This crosses over with hotels and resorts. So hotels and resorts still not doing real great right now. Probably don't have anything exciting happening in the next couple 4 or 6 months. If glamping can take some of those customers that would normally be going to hotels, resorts, and give them the accommodations, the experience that they want, when would you expect that kind of acquisition path to happen, or has that already happened? I guess Igor, our previous guest in Croatia, experienced that there. Where else is this happening? These acquisitions, where these glamping sites get rolled up, people exit them, may do well through that acquisition, and then can go off and start their lives doing the next thing. How does that acquisition cycle happen in Europe?
That's what you see. There are quite a few bigger French, for example, mainly French investment groups. They get their funds from different sources, but the companies are mainly French, and they're buying campsites and glam sites all over Europe. This is happening. Bigger companies are buying the best pieces of land everywhere. For the US, in terms of camping and glamping, I'm aware of the fact that there are also a lot of bigger RV groups, RV park groups, who are just buying everywhere. And in Europe, it's mainly French groups which do that. But I expect that to really, this is a movement which is developing rapidly as well. So you see bigger campsites which doing very well. They're gonna get bought sometime.
Interesting. And I think we definitely say that as the markets evolve and you see these acquisitions, you see a standardization of a lot of those sites. You see a certain piece of the market that likes that standardization. They like the McDonald's approach, but you still have a big market out there, or a secondary market, that wants the more unique stays. So you have this more evolved market as things grow that always has room for newcomers. Where does one start if they're on either side of that fence? They're in the market, they have an RV or campground site or something like that. They've been an owner operator, they know how the business works. How do they get started with glamping versus someone who is passionate about the industry, has not operated any sort of outdoor hospitality or hotel product before, and is just getting started in it? How do those two different individuals or groups get started in glamping? What questions should they be asking?
It's mainly an issue of planning permission. So, of course, to acquire some land is challenging, but not impossible. But getting the right piece of land on the right location with the right options to build your glamp site, have the local authorities standing behind your plans. That's, from my perspective, that's the biggest challenge all over Europe. And I think that's something you know better than me, but I think that's the same issue in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we touched a little bit on the different ownership models out there in our first webinar. In the first webinar, Igor had mentioned the lease model, and that actually purchasing land isn't always the approach to be able to start out and grow, because the most attractive sites are going to be really difficult to acquire. I think previously the poll that we sent out was about the challenges of getting started in glamping business. We'll take those results, and if they didn't show up live, we'll include those results in the recorded version of this webinar that we put online. Hey, there we go. Kaylee just put them up. And it sounds like investment took the cake. Permits were second. Planning was third. And I would say that these are interesting challenges that sort of point to the early stages of the market, at least in the US. The investment side, Robin, I think we had a conversation before kicking off this webinar about how the investment side, because the dollars and cents just work with this model, the investment side usually just comes together. I'd be curious about your take on these results, assuming they were on your screen. What do you think about the investment side being the biggest perceived challenge in getting started in glamping business?
Yeah, I got a different view on this. I understand that getting the funds together is challenging, but in the end, that's not, from my perspective, not the most challenging thing. Since, yeah, as you said before, it's a very profitable concept. If you didn't get a return on investment within 2 years, something went terribly wrong, and therefore, I think getting the right positions, getting the right lands with the right permits, which permits were second, I think. But that's the most challenging thing from my perspective, and that's what I hear from the market a lot as well. The existing campsites don't have those issues because they own that piece of land, which normally has the right possibilities. But when you really start something new, that's the biggest issue from my experience.
Mm-hmm. I think so. The next survey we were going to send out was on the services and facilities that glamping customers expect. I think we'll send that out in a moment. And I think the big question here really is trying to understand what does an evolving market want? And with all these different markets, we're trying to find sort of a precedent to it. What's similar that worked before? What customers are we borrowing from? And I think, as we discussed before, this is really an evolution of the leisure market in terms of people awakening to the idea that, we know it's healthy for us to spend more time outdoors. We know that the indoor environments are stressful or unhealthy. We have air quality issues. Getting outdoors helps loosen everyone's mind and bodies, and it's just overall a good thing. We have a new generation of people that are more interested in these different things and are kind of shunning the leisure model that existed before. but still kind of expect some of the, they may not admit it, but still expect some of the niceties that they get in a hotel or a resort. So what comparisons would you bring to the glamping model where you're trying to emulate a resort or hotel versus that where it's a tent in the woods? What's the full spectrum of glamping, and what's the sweet spot in there of just enough rustic with just enough of comfortable amenities?
I think it's important to take in mind that it's really the question is, what do you as a company want to offer? You know, you got companies which are moving in direction of um, having a great time with your family. They are offering a big living where you can sit, relax, play a game with your children. Or are you moving towards, I don't know, activities? Do you offer all kinds of activities? You have big playing fields for the children outside. It's also depending on your climate, of course. If you're in a colder area, or for example, the UK has more rain than the rest of Europe, so people are used to to stay more inside and having a good time there with their families, compared to Southern Europe, where people are staying outside, no big living rooms in their tents. So the accommodations are also different, shaped differently. So yeah, they have smaller livings, they have an outside kitchen, and people are living outside. So in general, I think it's important to take in mind, where are you focusing at, and yeah, really adapt the accommodation to this. So actually giving an answer to your complete question.
I think so. So then, how does that vary between these two different groups? The first time getting started in glamping and getting started on a glamping site versus an experienced operator that already has an RV site or a campground. Is there a different approach? Because both of those sides, if you already have a campground site operating, you already have the infrastructure behind it. You probably you may already have facilities and cleaning staff. You already
Yeah.
have all of your accounting figured out. You may have connections to banks and investment. You probably have a booking system, and you also have some sort of advertising out there. If someone wants to find you, they can find you. Versus when you're getting started from scratch, you have to build all of that, or find someone you can outsource it to. What's the secret sauce between those two different groups in delivering that accommodation that they finally land on? Of once this is what we
The
want to provide.
I think you're talking about a sweet spot when you're starting your own bespoke, new, innovative glamping site. You're able to give this personal touch. So the bigger companies don't have this. Yeah, don't have this, and I think that's one of the USPs of someone who's starting this glamping site right now, on a smaller scale. They are the ones who are running this company, and they are the ones who can make this difference and giving these people the feeling that they're welcome, and in the end giving them a great stay and making sure that everything from beginning to end is just with this personal touch, creating this great experience.
So what I take from that is
I
you're
think
you're
that,
saying focus on the customer, which I know is one of your key key concepts with Outstanding. Focus on the customer, and then also follow your core competencies. So identify what you have to offer, whether it's your land or your concept or delivery model, guest
yeah.
experience, whatever it is. Make sure that what you are good at, you're really good at.
Yeah, and also in terms of service, when you're a smaller starting glamp site, you're able to give a higher level of service, maybe hotel service, which consists of cleaning the rooms every day, maybe giving some kind of room service, or delivering a breakfast at the accommodation, making a difference which towards the bigger companies which probably don't offer this kind of service. I think that's for the companies who, or the people who want to start right now, giving them giving them the chance to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Well, in just a few moments, we'll dive into Q&A. So anyone that has any questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat bar, and then we'll address those in Q&A. But something I'd love to get into, we talked a little bit about the challenges of getting into glamping, the different concerns, whether you're a small company new to the industry or expanding from what you've already got. So what are the keys to success in getting it started in the middle of the pandemic? And what are those first steps? We talked about planning. We get through the planning. Once someone has planning, if they have a well-built pro forma and they're able to find capital, leverage their connections, once they actually get to the point where they're ready to design their campsite, order tents, get them installed, what's the next step, and where do things go wrong? I'd love to spend just a minute or two on what some of the failures that you've seen out there that people have had to find corrections for along the path, and allow our listeners to learn from the mistakes and experiences of others.
Good one. From my personal view, what I see going wrong at some sites is that people don't really think, they don't take enough time to develop their landscape. With landscapes, you can do amazing things. You can create great great areas to play, to sit. It's easiest way is just to line up 20 tents, have a soccer field somewhere, and just go on. But in the end, that's not where you make a difference to the bigger companies. I think taking in mind and really taking care of your landscape, maybe get someone to advise you who's a landscape architect, to make the best out of this. Also, in terms of putting your tents up in a strategic way, make sure that you can have more privacy at your accommodations. It doesn't cost you more space. It's just a matter of being smart with your space. So I think that's the next step to take, to really think over how to where to put up your accommodations, but also the other facilities.
Okay, so attention to some of those details, and those are the most effective details to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You can only do it once. You're not going to move anything anymore. It's just costing a fortune. And also your infrastructure, which is under the ground, you're not going to move that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. I think right before we jump into Q&A, do you want to say a few words about what you think the future holds for glamping, and if there's anything exciting that Outstanding might be bringing to the table in this next year, or what you endeavor to do in this next year for the industry?
In terms of new products, or as a company in...
A new product, evolution of your product, ways of serving customers, and anything else that kind of, given our global situation right now, how glamping will change and how Outstanding will serve those changes in the market.
We are constantly following every development. So every year we hear a lot, we see a lot. In general, we develop all of our products constantly in terms of quality and in a technical way. But besides this, we follow different. We follow all markets. We get a lot of feedback from people like you, because every market has its own requirements. We found out, and also in terms of spaces and layouts, internal layouts, which different cultures just have a different demand. So we will continue following this up and making sure that every market gets his own layouts and his own specific tent. We are not for season 2021, which is about to happen for us in terms of sales and deliveries. That's for season 2022. we are looking forward to develop 2 new models. I can't say much about that. But we are actually one model, the XS, we're going to redo, and we're going to replace the Lodge model for something which is new, but it's that's really under construction currently. So season 2021 is no big changes for us. Of course, we did a lot behind the screens. So we reorganized the warehouse. We're changing a lot in our processes in order to, of course, create a better company, to become a better company, and making sure our logistics work smoother. We've been growing so incredibly over the last few years, like numbers of 300%, 200%, which create some friction on the logistics side. On the front end, it's quite easy to grow that fast, but to make sure that deliveries and that kind of work is catching up is challenging, we found out. And that's what we're taking care of currently for coming season. And next season, we will come up with new, bigger developments.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful. With one question we just had pop up was what about people that have tents that for previous tents of outstanding? How does your service model work with tents? So as these tents evolve and change, if we have someone that purchases and installs a series of tents, what happens down the line when they need a new part for that tent?
All of the parts are still replaceable. So if you have a front from a safari tent, which we sold in 2015, for example, we're still able to replace this. But you probably have a bigger window. You have another quality of zips. They're just like in a technical way, we keep on evaluating our product and making sure it's getting better every year, but it still fits in the same structure. It still fits to the old pieces. So nothing to worry about in that way.
Okay, fantastic. Next question here. What is the average cost for a one-room tent with a bathroom, and how do you keep the tent insulated and warm in the cold winters? I think we touched on some of that, but how would you answer that?
What does an accommodation cost?
Average cost for a one-room tent with a bathroom, and how do you keep the tent insulated and warm in cold winters? And I know there's going to be a big spread in this. We could talk about very just big picture.
Yeah, about the price of an accommodation, complete furnished in euros. I don't know in which currency most people think, or actually where all participants are from. We have them from 48 countries, I thought. So let's talk in euros. It's easiest for me. We can have a complete furnished tent, including bathroom, for approximately 8,000 euro, and that's without shipping and construction. Construction really depends, just as delivery on where you're located. If you go up to a bigger accommodation, complete furnished prices for like a six person tent, including bathroom, goes up to 15,000 euros. And yeah, of course, if you really wanted the biggest model with everything included, it goes up to that. But I think that's giving a kind of an idea where prices go. And about this insulation, we do have the thermo tents, which are insulated. Although there are some areas where it's harder to build them due to restrictions.
The US being one of them, of course.
Yeah, fire retardancy restrictions and stuff. So we do have our standard tents in fire retardant fabric, which is which we can sell pretty pretty much all over the world.
And that makes it
For this,
possible to have wood stove or other heat sources within it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and so yeah, the fire retardant version of our standard units make sure that we can supply all over the world according to pretty much all standards, as far as I know. And the thermal tent, which is insulated, yeah, we're not able to sell that to all areas, but yeah, that one is really making sure that you can easily go winter camping. But if you have a good heat source, a good log burner, you're still able to sleep in your normal tent in winter as well.
So as part of the answer, let's not fool ourselves. This is still a glamping experience. This is still a tent. It's not going to be 75 degrees inside when it's below freezing outside. And in some climates, you'll either have very hardy guests or you'll be closing for part of the season. Is that a good summary?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so next question. Typical tent. How long will a typical tent last in terms of years? And what about moldy tents in damp areas? Has that been an issue? And of course, we covered earlier that was a part of the initial history of Outstanding Tents or before Outstanding, that those imported tents were having issues with mold. And that was one of the reasons that you attempted to shut things down, or you and Eric attempt to shut things down. How have those been addressed now, and why are those not an issue?
The fabrics we use are highly developed fabrics, which are being used as outdoor stuff for many years, and they are treated against mold. So and besides that, we have a PVC roof, which is covering all of the tent. So it's not getting directly in touch with water. And this PVC is, that's 650 grams PVC, which is covering all of it. So even though this fabric is able to stand on its own without a cover, we cover it completely, and therefore the durability is very good. The lifespan of a tent, we say normally it's about 10 years. And after this 10 years, the canvas is getting it's getting older, but also you see in like the entrance area, you see that things are getting things are getting used. And I think about 10 years is the lifespan of a tent, and then you could refurbish him, change the inner, and go for another few years.
Okay, would you say that's more aesthetic than functionality?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that helps with those questions. And next question is, how easy is it to differentiate glamping from camping, and to extract the glamping from camping? It looks like in Europe, those things are going together, mainly the big sites. So what are your thoughts with this differentiation of camping versus glamping? Do they need to be separate? Are they coming together, or is there a divergence?
It all started on campsites which were offering camping, came up with something more luxurious and offered glamorous camping. What you now see and that's something I really enjoy, is that you really see glamping only sites coming up, and they offer all kinds of structures, but they don't offer a piece of land. They don't rent out such a thing. They just have a great accommodation with a unique experience, and I think that's really the future from my perspective. But it does go together with normal camping.
Okay, good. All right. Now, what about in arid and desert climates? Talking about very high temperatures, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 degrees Celsius, where cooling is usually used indoors. Of course, you've got a product in Spain and other places that can be extremely hot certain parts of the year. So if we kind of cover the cold issues, what about the extremely hot issues, and how are those handled?
More and more tents get an AC installed. So, for example, Igor, who was your guest last time, he bought last year. He bought 93 tents, most of them with AC in there. And that's a trend we see a lot. That's something happening now. And the great thing with those AC is that you can get them as a split unit, so they're able to warm in the colder times and cool in the warmer times. And yeah, that's something which really makes sure that you can just you can use it as a climate control instead of just of cooling.
Okay, yeah. Another question here. What is the ideal number of tents for a new glamping site?
It depends a bit on your overhead. Of course, when you have more costs, you need more units to make sure you get a profitable model. I would say to start off with somewhere between 5 and 10. That's giving you that allows you to do good marketing. That's allows you to create enough turnover to do it in a proper way. And in the end, yeah, you should, of course, from there on, it's always good to grow further because you still have the same marketing, you still have the same cost, and it's not that's not challenging anymore from that moment.
Okay. Another question about pricing and where we learn more about your tents. And of course, we can answer that, outstandingtent.com to learn more. What are the other tools that are available out there so that people can start designing their sites and figuring things out? I guess I can answer a piece of that. I guess the catalog is going to be part of it, showing the dimensions of the tents. The pricing and everything else can be obtained by contacting via the website. Is that right?
Yeah, because we have so many possibilities with our tents, and we have quite a few models in different lengths and all kinds of interior options. It's actually, the possibilities are endless, and therefore getting a good offer is something which should be done together with one of our representatives. So yeah, when you're interested, get in touch with the one who's responsible for your area. If it is for the US, get in touch with Jason. And for the other areas, it's you can see it on the website. And if there's no one responsible for the area, of course, contact our headquarters and we will take care of it, and we will make sure you get all information necessary to get a good view on what it's going to cost to get you get all details ready, also lead times and all kind of info you need to start your glam site.
All right. Well, fantastic. I think we may call it a day there. This is a fantastic overview of glamping market. A fabulous little corner of the outdoor hospitality market that I think is growing and getting a lot of attention right now. It'll be interesting to explore this more in the future. We're definitely not done with the conversation, but we're done for today. We're excited for the next guest. And Robin, thank you very much for taking the time to talk about your experience in starting Outstanding and really diving in and exploring and developing a great product for the outdoor hospitality market.
Thank you for inviting me, and it was a pleasure talking to you guys. I enjoyed telling a bit of the story of Outstanding, and I hope to see you in the next session, Jason.
All righty. Well, for everyone out there, you can learn more at outstandingtent.com. Contact information is there. You can always contact me directly, Jason at outstandingtent.com. And if there were any questions that you had that didn't get answered, please feel free to email us and we'll address those in the next webinar. Otherwise, everybody stay safe, have a wonderful week, and we hope that you find fun and exciting ways to explore the glamping piece of the outdoor hospitality market. And if there's a way we can help you, please let us know.
Thank you for joining.
All right, goodbye.